Hi, I'm Marilyn, and I want to welcome you today to Exposing Grief. When we expose anything, it becomes less threatening. To expose loss and grief will provide us with some emotional control. In 2020, we laid the foundation for these conversations. We spent 12 episodes outlining how loss and grief can and does occur at any age or any stage in life. You can go back and listen to those foundational podcast episodes, or you can start listening today as part of a journey to become more mentally and emotionally healthy. The goal of these conversations is to explore and to expose loss, grief, and other emotional traumas that may come up in life. We as human beings are ever evolving and changing, but most of us neglect our emotional well-being until there is a crisis. These conversations are meant to talk about emotional health more openly and to help devise strategies in order to become more emotionally healthy. Loss is not only associated with death, but it is associated with the loss of anything that we consider valuable, whether that is loss of an item as simple as a gift given to us by someone special, moving into a new home or neighborhood, or the loss caused by broken relationships. When we experience loss, then there may be a grieving process that we need to go through. Of course, we can't ignore that grieving process because most of the time we are unaware that such a process happens to us because of loss. In life, we are generally told to be tough, as if grieving is some type of luxury. This sense of loss can even occur if you only fantasized about a relationship, especially if the fantasy was obsessive. For example, if you met someone you were attracted to, but never really got the chance to know that person, yet your mind created pictures of how the relationship would unfold, then if you have held onto that fantasy for a while, you will want to grieve the death of the fantasy once you realize it will not be a reality. There is nothing wrong with fantasy, but it's knowing when to let go of it so that you can move forward. If you hold on to a fantasy, please recognize it is a potential problem for which you might want to seek some counseling. If we work on keeping our emotional cupboard reasonably clean, then we have less risk of emotional overload. Overload can occur when we allow or don't even recognize emotional triggers, and those triggers remain unresolved. Ignoring the triggers is not the same as resolving them. Of course, if you have not spent much time thinking about your emotional and mental well-being, then it makes sense that you may not realize when there is a need to actively work on resolutions before there is some sort of downward spiral in your life. Resolve to check in with yourself to see how you are doing emotionally. Are you angry all the time? That is a problem, but giving up the anger can cause other problems when you realize what has caused you to be angry. Are you depressed? Seek out the root causes. There are not always happy endings in life. That's okay. Make the most of your current situation until you're able to make a change. Chaos breeds chaos. Do all you can to keep from being drawn into the drama of others. We each have enough of our own troubles, and usually there is no capacity to take on someone else's problems. Unfortunately, we really can't just take a pill and all of our emotional issues will dissolve away. It is work to stay emotionally stable in a world that sometimes seems completely out of control. Control what you can. Recognize when you are stressed and try hard to define what has caused that stress. Eliminate the stress causers if you can, but if not, take time to talk yourself away from the edge. Controlling your responses to stress is how you begin to feel better and manage your emotional life. You can only control your own responses. We don't need to know the statistics on how many people ignore the small areas of loss and grief in their lives. Just knowing that it does happen gives us an opportunity to be aware of our own challenges so we don't run into emotional trouble. Awareness is very important. Ignoring signs of potential emotional triggers can be detrimental. These are my personal experiences, opinions, and observations. If you need professional help in order to resolve emotional trauma, please seek it out. These conversations about loss, grief, and emotional well-being are necessary and perhaps well overdue. Be a part of these important conversations. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to visit with you next time on Exposing Grief.